this is an instructional video mostly for the parents, but kiddos, I want y'all to go ahead and listen on to know what we're focusing on this week. So last week we talked about the main character's actions. That means what the main character does. Throughout the story, every main character does things. The action might not be as apparent, but it is there. So I hope that y'all were able to read books and figure out what the main character was doing throughout the book. This week, we're focusing on the main character's emotions. Now, there is a correlational relationship between emotions and actions. That means that one of them affects the other. Typically, us as humans, we feel a certain way, so we have an emotion, and that brings about what we do or our action. That means that emotions usually determine our actions. In almost every story, that's the exact same way. Especially in children's stories with pictures. They have an emotion, they feel a certain way, and then they act based upon that emotion or that feeling. Some examples in the world now, usually whenever we feel the emotion of sadness, we do the action of crying, right? Or whenever we feel the emotion of being tired or lethargic, a lot of times we sleep or we want to relax on the couch or we don't want to go do something active because we're tired. Or if you feel the emotion of happy, a lot of people will perform the action of smiling, or some people like to clap, jump up and down, or go do something that makes them feel even happier, like play outside. So all of those are examples of ways that emotions determine our actions. So I want y'all to go ahead and read stories and then figure out what the person did and then why do you think they did that. In order to determine what a main character or a character within a story is feeling, we can focus on a couple things. The first thing is I want y'all to focus on context clues. That means that I want y'all to go ahead and look at the pictures or look at the words surrounding and figure out what the main character is feeling. In a little bit, we're going to read a story called The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. One context clue that I always ask students to pay attention to is the facial expression of the main character. That will oftentimes tell you what the main character is feeling. Another thing that you can focus on is you can ask yourself, how did I feel whenever this situation happened to me? So I don't know of anybody who has gone through the exact same situation that the three little pigs and the big bad wolf went through, but we have gone through some things that we read about in stories. For example, some of us have read, I think I always read The Rainbow Fish whenever I teach this lesson. The Rainbow Fish is a great example on focusing on context clues and feelings and emotions. Because the rainbow fish, whenever he first started out, he was like super haughty and proud, right? And he was showing all of his sparkly scales around. He didn't want to make friends. Eventually, that made him feel sad. And because he felt sad, then he performed the action of giving one of his shiny scales to somebody else. That made him feel happy. So then he performed the action of giving another shiny scale. That made him feel happier. And he kept on repeating that action until he felt super, super happy and he had no more shiny scales to give. Another example or another context clue or way that you can figure out what the main character is feeling is you can think, if I haven't gone through this situation, if I did go through it, what would I feel? For example, if the big bad wolf came and started pounding on my door, what do you think you would feel? I know that I would start feeling a little scared, right? And I would act out of that fear. I would feel fear, and because I felt fear, I would probably barricade the door, right? Or maybe I would run. Yeah. We can also think about, what other stories do we like? Chicka chicka boom boom. Okay, imagine you were in the forest whenever the trees started falling. What would you feel if you were in the forest when the trees started falling? That's an interesting thought, right? What about Little Red Riding Hood? Imagine that you go to visit your grandma, and instead of your grandma, it's a wolf in your grandma's clothing. How would you feel if that happened? I would feel nervous and scared and confused, right? I would feel all of those things. So go ahead and use those clues when reading stories. And I'll go ahead and make a video right now about this story.